Alright, hello everyone and welcome to NFL Discussion. I'm your host and NFL enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing part 2 of the Divisional Round, part 2 being Sunday's games. And with that, we're going to get right into the action, starting with the Bengals, who despite having a patchwork offensive line, showed that not only could they beat the Bills, but they might even be able to beat the Chiefs. Again, some squads match up well against others. The Bengals are a primary example of this based on how they've played the Chiefs in their last 3 meetings. Cincinnati would beat Kansas City in all 3 of those contests, including the third win, which had been this past regular season. After Sunday's snow-laden victory over the Bills, these 2 franchises will meet once again in the AFC Championship game for the 2nd consecutive year. The lingering concern and what might tilt the game against his favor remains Cincinnati's offensive line, but the Bengals have shown time and again that they and Joe Burrow as well can overcome those shortcomings. After having the same starting 5 take the field for 15 straight contests, finally gaining some stability in the trenches, right tackle Lyle Collins will go down with a torn ACL and MCL, right guard Alex Kappa in a left ankle, and left tackle Jonah Williams dislocated kneecap. So Cincinnati's lineup against the Bills featured 3 different starters, including Jackson Carman, who would make his first NFL start at left tackle. And left guard Cordell Volson is a 4th-round rookie. Yet the group would dominate in Buffalo. The Bengals averaged 5.1 yards per carry, with Joe Mixon accounting for 105 rushing yards. Protection held up for most of the game as well too, as Buffalo sacked Burrow only once. Domination occurred up front, and offensive line coach Frank Pollard deserves credit for his work. Now the Chiefs might present a little bit more of a difficult obstacle with Chris Jones' potential to blow up plays in the middle, as well as George Kalafis and Frank Clark rushing off the edge. As a whole, Kansas City's defense ranked 2nd overall during the regular season with 55 sacks. However, there might be some vulnerability in the run defense, as Jacksonville averaged 7.6 yards per carry in that game, with Travis Etienne going for 6.2 yards per total in that divisional round matchup between the Jaguars and the Chiefs. Now, granted, Jacksonville mostly played from behind, and while true, the Chiefs finished 15th overall in yards per carry, surrendered during the regular season, Kansas City is built to play for lead because of its explosive offense. Yet the Bengals are one of the few teams that can match the Chiefs shot for shot with Patrick Mahomes and company, especially since Mahomes is now dealing with a high ankle sprain per ESPN's Adam Schefter. Cincinnati should be able to run the ball effectively. Burrow will get the ball out quickly. He'll make the adjustments as he usually does. Eventually, Zach Taylor will dial up a deep shot with Kansas City trying to play downhill in an attempt to stop the other 2 areas. So with that, the Bengals have proven and shown that they have the recipe for success against the Chiefs. It's been done before, and no one should be surprised if it's done again. Bills. So going into the season, I think they were the odds-on favorite for the Super Bowl. They had a lot of promise, team of destiny feel, if you will. And, unfortunately, this season brought about another disappointing ending to their season in the playoffs. And Buffalo, they're probably going to have to reassess their roster in the offseason. So extensive soul searching must be done after yet another postseason loss for the Bills. The Bills have fallen short of the Super Bowl in each of the last 3 seasons, despite being one of the favorites to represent the AFC. During the 2020 season, the Bills finished 13-3, 1 game behind the Chiefs, only to see the reigning Super Bowl champs jump out to a 4th-quarter lead that Josh Allen and company could not overcome. A year later, in a rematch, the Chiefs once again proved to be too much, with one of the more spectacular endings to a postseason game. But Buffalo's defense allowed the Mahomes-led offense to move the ball 44 yards in 13 seconds, resulting in the game-time field goal as time expired. And overtime, the Bills never got the ball. Chiefs went down and scored, which led to a whole rule change that now in the postseason both teams get at least 1 possession. But I guess we won't get a rematch from Bills and Chiefs, so maybe we won't have to worry about that new rule. Nonetheless, the Bengals didn't need any theatrics for their victory over the Bills. Zach Taylor's squad simply manhandled the Bills on both sides of the ball, something isn't quite working in Buffalo. Hard to say exactly what, and Brandon Beane's gonna have plenty of decisions to make regarding contracts, and the Bills should also take a long and hard look at their personnel and maybe make some changes there as well. You think about players who have that are said to be free agents: Jordan Poyer, Jermaine Edmonds, Roger Saffold, Jordan Phillips, Shaq Lawson, Dane Jackson, and Devin Singletary, all pending free agents. Now, Jordan Poyer, starting safety for the Bills, he requested a contract extension this past offseason, and all he really got was a reworked deal, but the defensive leader likely on his way out if he wants one more big payday. Jermaine Edmonds, he led the team in tackles during 4 of his 5 seasons, yet he was a bit outmatched in coverage against the Bengals. Roger Saffold turns 35 this year. Phillips, Lawson, Jackson, Singletary, all solid contributors, but they might be replaced in the offseason. So when the Bills get tight, everything falls on Allen. He's asked to make amazing throws and runs in an effort to carry the entire team. And while he is the franchise quarterback and he's more than capable of doing so, as such, the Bills' primary goal should be to improve everything around him to make his life easier and maximize his capabilities, so the team can finally reach that elusive Super Bowl. As of now, the Bills need some improvements in the run game, offensive line, slot receiver, defensive front, and pass rush. So plenty is going to have to be achieved in one off season. But it's easy to bring, but it shouldn't be that hard to bring people into Buffalo, given that your quarterback is Josh Allen. 49ers. So Brock Purdy continues to build his resume, and he now has the Philadelphia Eagles looming up next. So with each passing week, Brock Purdy further cements his standing not only as San Francisco's top option at quarterback this season, but also their top option going into next season. Once again, Purdy would prove that the moment isn't too big for him and provided another efficient outing in the 49ers' victory against the Cowboys. This last draft, Mr. Irrelevant now leads his team into Philadelphia, where the Niners will face the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. San Francisco is yet to lose a Purdy behind center. As a team, the Niners have won 12 straight contests. The league's #1 ranked defense certainly plays a role in the organization's ongoing success, yet the squad is somehow down to its third-string quarterback, and it hasn't missed a beat. Purdy didn't do anything special in Sunday's contest, but the lack of mistakes and forced passes is important, though. Kyle Shanahan schemes in the offense as well as any play caller in the league. 49ers also benefit from a strong run game and great weapons. Even so, Purdy deserves credit for keeping everything on track, on schedule, and making throws when necessary. NFL Network's CIN reported there's no doubt who QB1 is at the moment, but what about next season? Trey Lance is still on the roster, and not only was he the 3rd overall pick in the 2021 draft, but the 49ers traded some draft capital to select him in the draft, and he was their starter going into the season. Also, there's Tom Brady, who grew up in the Bay Area and is a pending free agent. Granted, I think that whole Brady to San Francisco thing, I think it's just media speculation. I don't think there's anything there. I don't think he actually goes to San Francisco. But regardless, though, none of it may matter, as Rappaport would add. These questions could all be moot if Brock Purdy continues to ball, and indeed, if Brock Purdy continues to be ball, it will be difficult to play anyone else after what he has done to help lead San Francisco to yet another NFC Championship game appearance. If San Francisco happens to win against the Eagles, Brock Purdy's future probably all but set. The Eagles featured the NFL's top-ranked pass defense during the regular season. Also, their run defense better than the Cowboys. So Purdy is going level by level, trying to make his way to the final boss fight. He has the cast around him and the poise to make it happen. If it does, 49ers might have their quarterback of the future. And to close out this episode of NFL Discussion, we will wrap up with the Cowboys, who unfortunately missed yet another playoff opportunity, and they might be facing some regression within their own division. So the Cowboys aren't going anywhere but back to Dallas. It's a tale as old as time. The Cowboys are regarded as one of the NFL's more talented squads. They even win some games. They won a playoff game on the road last week? Or in the wild card round. But when contests matter the most, like this Divisional Round game against the 49ers, the Cowboys fall short against the league's best. In the past 9 seasons, or the last 9 seasons, the Cowboys show that they can get out of the wild card round with a 3-1 record. Beyond that point, the team is 0-3, and the organization may have blown its best chance to play in another Super Bowl for quite some time. If Dallas got past San Francisco, it already showed that it can beat the Eagles when the Cowboys got a victory over the Eagles less than a month ago. Granted, Jalen Hurts was not playing in that game, and that game was in Dallas, so take it as you will. But also, Dak Prescott, Dak Prescott in that game had one of his better games. But, in that matchup, originally Philadelphia, Dak wasn't cleared to play. It was Cooper Rush playing, so who knows how that one would have gone. But ultimately, that game, Cowboys-Eagles in Dallas, proved to be the Cowboys Super Bowl. Prescott would fall short in the divisional round of only 206 yards passing and 2 interceptions. To be fair, first didn't fall on the quarterback. Then again, he did miss Michael Gallup badly late in the contest while trailing by 7 points. Not everything is on Prescott, though questions will certainly persist given his poor performance. The Cowboys have other issues that are they have other issues to address from a roster perspective other than Dak's poor performance. With the understanding other NFC East teams they're only getting better. Dalton Schultz, Terrence Steele, Tony Pollard, Donovan Wilson, Leighton Vander Esch, and Anthony Barr, and Anthony Brown, all pending free agents to possibly make matters worse. Defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, once again, one of the more sought-after head coaching candidates, and while he didn't take a position last offseason, he might take one this offseason. And losing him could be a huge loss for the Cowboys based on how he's built a rapport with that talented defense, particularly Micah Parsons. Meanwhile, the Eagles are on the precipice of their second Super Bowl in 5 years. The Commanders, despite subpar quarterback play, they won 8 games. And the franchise will once again prioritize that position in the offseason, although they might just ride with Sam Howell just to see what happens, which, understandable. He did. Granted, he only played 1 good game, but you might as well see what you got in him since you drafted him. But I wouldn't just stick with him, though. Find some competition for sure. Brian Daboll and the Giants. Brian Daboll could very well be the coach of the year based on how he was able to maximize the talent that he had with the Giants and the success that they were able to have. So potential departures of defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, running back Tony Pollard, and tight end Dalton Schultz will bring the Cowboys back to the pack or further behind their division rival. Granted, it is possible that the Cowboys franchise tag Tony Pollard. I saw that report was out there. I don't think they keep Dalton Schultz. I think he might walk in free agency. They franchise tagged him last year, weren't able to strike a deal, so I don't think it happens this year. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but I think ultimately it's more likely that of the 3, Quinn, Pollard, Schultz, Pollard is the most likely one to remain. And with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, sure to hit that like button down below.